And you mentioned in that you guys took, on occasion, I'm not sure how many occasions, you took POWs. How was the treatment of them once they'd been captured? Because we've seen some horror things of some executions, we've seen some mistreatment, and especially coming from a NATO standard military like URI, where there's, many rights afforded to POWs that we see breached. How was your experience with that?
So I can only attest to the treatment of POWs at the front line. And it was mixed. So it was the most normal thing in the world to pose with them, to make pictures with them, to humiliate them. It was always among our Ukrainian comrades, it was part of the good tone to like put a gun on their chest and say, "Oh, say Slava Ukraini," or make them say Putin Huilo, or stuff like that. That was normal. That was normalized for our Ukrainian comrades. That did not happen in my units. That did not happen by any of the volunteers I was with, but it happened. It was done by the Ukrainians. Also, what was relatively normal was just to slap or to beat prisoners. Sometimes if they weren't doing anything fast enough, sometimes just because you felt like it or because somebody felt like it and just went past him, slapped him on the head, stuff like that. What I did see on one occasion was, and those were the Spetsnaz guys. One was beaten. Ukrainian comrade, he put him on his knees. He made him beg for his life. He stabbed him in the thigh with a knife, and then sent him on his way. And later that same day, I don't remember who it was. It was not the same guy. It was someone else. They took 3 prisoners of war in the nearby forest, and you could just hear, and they came back without prisoners. I think you can fill in the blanks. That is what I saw, and that is what it seemed to me like the deeds of individuals, so individual war crimes. There was actually an investigation launched by the unit into who killed the prisoners, into mistreatment of prisoners. However, I'm not aware that any kind of consequences were resulted from that. So yeah, it definitely, to some degree, it happens on both sides. Absolutely.
Yeah. How does that make you feel, being the side you're fighting against a lot of that? Because, the idea is the Russians are doing this, we're not that. How does it feel being on because at the end of the day, you say, yes, it's the individual, but military, the whole uniform is uniform, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course, one bad apple spoils the batch. Honestly, of course it bothered me, and of course I would never allow this in my unit, but I have no power over my Ukrainian superiors, so there was not much I can do, which of course pissed me off. But to be quite honest, I went into this war expecting this, because if you go to war, you have to expect these kind of things. This happens in every war, in every army, in every period of time, everywhere. This was done by the Allies in World War II and World War I. This was done by American soldiers in the Korean War and the Koreans in the Korean War. This was done everywhere.
Correct.
Aggressor or defender, it doesn't matter. It's done everywhere, and you have to accept that it happens to some extent if you go to war. That doesn't mean I liked it. That doesn't mean I wasn't pissed off with it. But at the end of the day, that doesn't justify any of the crimes that Russia is committing, and it doesn't justify the Russian war in any way, and it doesn't make the war that Russia wages any less reprehensible. So it doesn't change why I fight.
Yes. Yeah, it's just interesting, and we've talked about some poor mistreatment of POWs and Russian soldiers, and there's always a flip side to it. Did you see anything that, I guess, warmed your heart of humanity of, wounded guys and providing good care and whatever from there?
You mean specifically to the Russians?
Yes.
No.
Right.
No. There was no. There was no brotherly anything, especially not in that phase of the war. I think Bucha really destroyed any chance of that.
Would they receive medical treatment if taken or injured?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's more what I was meaning. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. We gave them medical treatment. We actually there was one thing. The guys in the VDV that we took in Lyubomirovska, we dragged them out of their spalnik. We dragged them out of their sleeping bag, and they had like naked feet. And then the enemy tank started to shoot, and we had to run, and we had to drag them behind. Not drag, but to,
yeah,
take them with us in their naked feet. So my comrade actually ran after the fight already started, ran back in the house to grab the one guy's slippers, slippers. So he didn't have to walk. I think we walked like 12 kilometers that day, just the fuck out of there. And yeah, he actually ran back in to grab the guy's slippers because you know how shit it will be with bare feet. So I guess you can count that.